Amanda, thank you so much for just closing out the most epic air team. Wow, wow. Round of applause for the air team. Thank you very much. And I'm so delighted right now, one, to have my beloved Tatiana here with me, watching this incredible storytelling, that we're all coming together around our shared vision. And also in front of one of my most favorite pieces of Amanda, the Vitruvian Human, right here. So Amanda, there she is. Thank you, Tatiana, for being here, and thank you, Amanda, for bringing. And to kick us off, so now we go into the fire team. So the way the up game works is we have 12 teams of 12 gather to time travel to meet their future selves, to be initiated as twice born ancestors, and to co-envision the future. And so this today is like a micro of that. And so we've got the earth team, the air team, the fire team, and the water team, each being a team of 12, sharing their visions around 16 different topics. And next up is gender harmony, such an important topic over the next that defines the golden decade. And it gives me such great pleasure to introduce dearest friends and neighbors, Canay and Rudy. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for your leadership with the heroines, and just over to you. Welcome.
Thank you, Lucian. Hello, everyone. It's such an honor to be here with my husband and life and business partner, Rudy. When Lucian invited us to write a love letter from the future, I could only think of writing it dedicated to my daughters, Mia. So I want to thanks to my daughters. Thank you for inspiring, encouraging, and empowering me to become the woman, the heroine that I am. Thanks to you, I had the courage and resilience to serve the Heroines platform with other amazing women to do the same for millions of women around the world. It has never been about gender, and yet it all came down to it. How we created vertical relationships within and among each other. Women needed to please, satisfy, and only through the eyes of wounded masculinity, we tried to define who we are. Hidden emotions, thoughts, tamed and shamed intuitions, and tortured body parts of women affected everything, from how we gave birth to our children to how we hid our real potential in society, business, and politics. In 2020, when we started the Heroines, we were far from our true potential, wearing masks to cover our smiles, scared to touch each other, and the world was on fire, as well as the well-being of our children. That's how the awakening of the heroine in all women started. We needed millions of heroines to go beyond the restrictions of humans and how we imagined our role in this life. We started with a simple question. What does it mean to be a woman? Woman with an X. The first and the most important step was to start to get to know ourselves through the mirror of each other. That's how the 12 superpowers of the heroines emerged. Our first superpower is wonder. We awakened our childlike wonder and explored the leading edge of innovation, technology, and our impact through our conscious business models, the new infrastructures, the possibilities in our body temples, the animals, the shamans, the medicinal plants, and other non-human agents. The second superpower is openness. We heard the other, the nature, and the unheard in us by listening. We learned how to stay in constant inquiry beyond and through our own tears and fears. Of course, there is no way to be a heroine without our third superpower, which is dare. We dare to speak our truth, always with the intention of expansion. We failed fast and big, so space for the new experiments arise. We dare to actively hope and go and do it. We dare to be a catalyst, a hurricane with the intent to harmonize in peace, well-being, in the natural order of all life. Our fourth superpower is my favorite, the play, a fun, creativity, the secret power, laughter, have been the most powerful tools to transform and unite beyond all silos of the mind. The fifth superpower is shifting energy. We reconnected to our antennas to sense the moods and energies in us and around us. We allow to feel, and we learn from the waves of our feelings until we can rise up and surf with them. Our sixth superpower is wisdom. We hold all memories of the world and the dreams of what wants to emerge. We love silence, and other times when we speak, wise words tumble from our lips into the open space where energies need to be shifted. Our seventh superpower is liquidity. We are life. We flow. Chaos is our comfort because we know that only from chaos, new life will emerge. We are shapeless, yet we are the shape. And most of all, we are the shapeshifters. Our eighth superpower is being holistic. We feel through the systems and see all the connections. We zoom out like a bird and zoom in again to decide on our next very practical next steps. We are the daughter and we are the mother. We are so many parts combined. We know our place in life like a fungi mycelium of connectivity and community. Our ninth superpower, bending time. When we honor and heal the past, we unleash an evolutionary future. We take one step at a time, but we make things without rushing or forcing. We are one tree in the woods in the making of a rainforest of ancient futures. Our 10th superpower is alchemy. We paint with gold, merging business with technology. We turn our wounds into our gifts. We create for all, no judgment and no limitation. Our 11th superpower, conscious expression. We balance care, responsibility with personal freedom for all by choosing mindful words and not taking things personal. Our breath is in sync with the breath of the trees and the pulse of life. The 12th and the last superpower, love in action. Unconditional love is what we breathe in and out. We love the world by loving ourselves, and we love ourselves by loving the other. We are unstoppable, love in action. My dear daughters, since millions of us have embodied these superpowers and millions of amazing men leading the co-evolution with us, you no longer have a gender equality goal on your agenda. Actually, we are far beyond it. Yet the evolution has no limits. That's the fun part of it. Now it's your turn to bring more beauty, more love, harmony, joy, and peace to the world. But please, my daughters, stay humble and always in love. Do business as a prayer. Like Rumi, the Sufi master who lived on the same land that I was born, says, let the beauty of what we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground.
I am so blessed I can witness these 12 superpowers already every day. So I'm going to represent the unconditional man of 2030. Inspired by heroine women, unconditional men are now embodying healthy masculinity as a force of love, strength, and unity. Having balanced out the areas of unhealthy power play, destructive competition, the endless productivity game to please his never satisfying ego, he has now embodied the archetypes of the masculine, of the major masculine, sovereign, warrior, magician, and lover. Healthy masculinity is now back to the mass layers of society, drawing upon the combination of ancient wisdom and modern technologies of human development. Men have learned again about the connection with themselves, their natural power, purpose, taking responsibility, and how to unlock creativity, through co-creation and building alchemical spaces to express their deepest truth and ignite their inner fire and show up fully present to life, and especially for their heroine and heroines. He holds the awareness of collective love and letting go of control by doing inner work to create the space for others to be open and vulnerable from a place of empowerment. He is realigned with his integrity within and stands tall, opening his arms to any human on his path. He honors nature and recognizes each living being on this planet, and is non-judgmental towards others. Through conscious and spiritual embodiment learnings, unconditional men are connected to their true life force, an energy that is abundantly regenerative and celebrative, role modeling to our cosmic children and future generations. Thank you.
Choo, choo, choo! 2030!
Choo choo, welcome. What a great expression of divine union as two dear friends, four friends and two divine unions come together and share this celebration of gender harmony. What just perfect poetry in action, Canay and Rudy. And Canay, I would love for you to introduce Desiree, who's with us.
Oh my God, she is the Gaia of the heroines. She is the mother of the superpowers that I just shared. She's my dear fellow woman, the game changer sister, but more importantly, and precious soul. Desiree, honored to present you.
Thank you. Thank you. What can I add to these two beautifully written letters? I'm just looking in 2030 as Gaia, I'm looking back on humanity and I'm seeing these 10 years, and I'm seeing what has all happened. I'm seeing my first visit to Ibiza, invited by these two beautiful humans, and then also seeing as Gaia that there is nothing else than harmony, because Gaia knows no good or bad. Nature really thinks that people have a role on this planet, because people, although they have destroyed a lot, they will have gathered their strength and their wisdom in this past 10 years until we are now in 2030. And in this wisdom, they have found their way to find their own strength and their own confidence to do good to the world, and also leave space for other humans and other species. So that's how Gaia sees us as humanity, I think. And I think the regeneration in these past 10 years have done so much good. There have been so many nature-based solutions to regenerate the oceans with the overspill of fish, because we have created these wonderful areas where they can become old and have as many eggs as possible, so they will do the spillover effect, and then the fishermen will really have gained their wisdom to only fish with lines without no extra things that other species will die just because we want to have food. And there will have been 3D farming, which is really great, and the soil will have regained her biodiversity. So that is all such really wonderful things that will have been done in the past 10 years. There will have been so much technology developed with so much wisdom, so that we can have very small resources used, and then really make sure we will meet basic needs of people and of other species with it all, with the abundance of nature. We will know from biomimicry that we, in the past years, before these 10 years, we have just used energy and materials to create our products. But now we know that nature does it different, because nature uses structure with not as many materials needed, and information. And this might be the most important thing to see, because information can do it all. Energy is in us all. So I think in the past 10 years, we've gone quantum leaps, we've gone moonshot jumps. And I think humanity will finally have understood how if we abide by the laws of nature, then there will be a good world for all of us, humans and other species, because we're one, all unique, all in this gender harmony, and then also wider space. We will zoom out, we will zoom in, and we will all find our wisdom in our own mind, heart, and gut full of symbiotic bacteria, connection to the earth. Thank you so much, Canay and Rudy, for inviting me to the island.
Desiree, we cannot wait to meet you. And I love how you call it the island. It's just perfect. It's perfect. And so, well, thank you for that just transmission, collective transmission. What a triad we've got here with us. And we are very blessed to have Lucy Caldwell, a very dear friend, calling in from just outside San Francisco. And Lucy's been just an incredible thought leader. She's been gathering a community around life revealed. You could say a philosopher, the Socrates of gender harmony. Lucy, such a pleasure.
Wow, what a beautiful thought. And I'm humbled, Lucian, by your words. And I can just feel really the love of this community. It's funny because we got tired of Zoom, a lot of us, and then we were meeting often on Clubhouse, but I'm reminded of how wonderful it is to see each other's faces. So beautiful to see all of your smiling faces. So as I thought about 10 years into the future, I decided to extend the time frame just a tiny bit more into that next decade. And I thought of the moment when I am sitting on the eve of the birth of my first grandchild. And I imagined a granddaughter coming into form, and that I was sitting and sort of sitting in the nursery writing a letter, and I could hear the ocean waves outside, and I was thinking about all the work we had all done to bring into form a new way of living, and what I would want to say to this new life coming into form. And so I've written a little letter here that I envisioned sort of writing by candlelight in this beautiful future. Dearest granddaughter, as you prepare to enter this realm, I want you to know that great efforts have been underway here on Earth for some time to till the soil, to make amends and create a world held together by love. You are coming into form at a time when we have chosen to value humility, healing, generosity, and kindness. These values may seem obvious to your wide-eyed innocence. In fact, they are the birthplace of all child spirits. But there have been many times when humanity has lost sight of this path. One of the most beautiful aspects of the diversity that human beings bring is that we are born into different forms with different sex and skin tone and sizes and shapes and features and body types. Somehow along the way, we developed cultural lenses and became confused and tripped up by this diversity, creating stories and experiences that were enshrouded in shame, in othering, in grievances, and deep ancestral pain. But as technology began to connect people all over the world and people began to cross borders, several things emerged all at once. While in some ways people became more polarized and tribal and distracted, there was a new transparency that came to life, and new nodes of people began to connect, and these nodes deepened and brought tremendous healing to the world, and a new form of consciousness began to shine across all of the nodes. So long-standing shame and confusion around gender, and particularly around one of the darkest parts of humanity, which is the shadow of sexual violence, were brought to life. And while there was outrage, there was also accountability, and there was love brought to this tremendously painful human issue. We began to awaken both to the responsibility and the ability to heal ourselves and our communities from these difficult pasts. And a new form of inclusion and helping of others began to shine across the planet. Men and women stood hand in hand to bring a decisive end to gender-based violence, and equality for all women for the first time is now available in all birthright, in economic form, and in sovereignty within our own bodies. These healing circles emerged everywhere, and the ancient wisdom tools of mindfulness and communal sharing and storytelling lifted this vibration of consciousness. A new form of accountability and practice of sharing and narrating our lives began to replace the old tropes of sexism. Shame and stigmatization around our sexuality evolved into acceptance, reverence, respect, pleasure, consent, belonging, and ultimately harmony among the genders. There was true freedom for men and women and people of multi-genders to come together in compassion, in pride, and in celebration. Rituals to demarcate life passages connected younger generations with elders, and community formed a focal point of living once again. My dearest granddaughter, though it is not yet a perfect world, I can say without question that Team Humanity has been hard at work, infusing love and intention into this breathtakingly beautiful life. May your experience be characterized by sovereignty over your body, loving relationships, meaningful artistic expression, and a coming together of these beautiful souls. I'm so grateful and so anticipate meeting you.
Oh, Lucy, such a beautiful way to share. Thank you very much. Such wisdom, and what an archetype of the Gaian grandmother you're holding there. Thank
I have
you.
a few gray hairs starting to come in, but yeah, not to rush it, but I can see the horizon.
if there's anyone that will do aging gracefully and redefining that, it's you, my dear. So wonderful to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so next up, we move to ubiquitous energy. It's one of the most important topics of this decade, because back in the 20s, so much of the extractive economy revolved around our use of energy. And yet it seemed confusing to many of us when the universe at large was so abundant with energy, yet we lived in this world of scarcity, where we would take quite literally our collective ancestors dead from the ground, burn them, and to supply this extractive capitalist system. That all changed, and it changed with a very hard stop. And it's a delight to welcome Vaughn to share with us on ubiquitous energy. Welcome, Vaughn.
Hi, thank you, Lucian. Really grateful to be here. So I channeled this letter at 4 a.m, and I invite you to pay attention to some of the keywords in it, because they have some very beautiful rabbit holes to dive into if you so choose. So I'm just going to go dive right in. It is with great honor and deepest congratulations that I share this transmission with you. Dearest Gaians, we have done it. We not only did it and learned how to do it again if the brave and crazy so desire, but now we have embodied it into every cell of our being, the awakening of our true nature. Divine sovereignty, a true art of living in harmony with all beings, and an ever unfolding celebration of the divine love that we are. The story of humanity, which has only just begun, was full of great uncertainty. Yes, indeed, it was a treacherous path full of misdirection, costly distractions, and shining false illusions, imposing every blink of the eye. It was a path so challenging that many were fearful of how deep the depths of darkness and how far we had fallen into such an abyss. Many needed to become blind to see beyond the illusions. The sanest of all seemed the most mad to those who knew not how far the walls of the great asylum reached or how tall they stood. The wise ones, the way showers, heard the illusions of the mind just as loudly, chattering its false beliefs of lack and limitation. Yet we held the torches firmly and listened to the softly whispering truths before speaking from our hearts of the way forward. In the darkness, there was a silence in which many secrets waited patiently to speak with us. Thank you for your patience, for your trust, for your courageously loving hearts. For now and forever, we stand as one. We could not climb out of the darkness, so we shined a light from within and learned to fly. Within us, we found the keys to heaven on earth, to divine sovereignty for all beings, and an ancient future present within us with a beauty beyond imagination. Within every cell of our bodies lies the sweetest fruit, reaped from the seeds of light that we have planted there. Our cells have reached these treasures from the great central sun down to the core of the earth, and like great antennas, every one of us and all of life are ready to receive them. Our cells dance in celebration as the fruits flow down the energy highway of the Kundalini, swirl into every chakra and meridian, gaining Godspeed as they cycle through the microcosmic orbit and into the great torus field. The eternal dance of love, it is here. The dance of the divine masculine and feminine spinning with the Merkaba. We understand now that the feminine gave birth to the dance, and therefore she must lead as the container to receive. And the masculine dances in response with a focus and decisiveness free of the blind spots he once had. The masculine focuses its energy like a pyramid or a mountain or an obelisk or a tree, who all know and understand the same teachings. And this powerful focus energy then feeds the feminine, filling the container, and the dance begins anew. This dance is more than a celebration of life. It teaches us the music to the dance. And music is the true free energy source of all of creation. It teaches us how to decode the secrets of the flower of life, with its mathematical structure full of chords and notes that when played have the power to create the energy of the sun. We have learned to see how nature receives energy in the greatest abundance. How does the sun create so much energy? How does algae receive and store this energy and grow so quickly? The algae teachers and the mushroom teachers and the teachers within the hemp and all of the trees still have so much to share with us. They teach us the joy of giving and to remain humble and curious and to keep asking questions. They whisper the secrets that lie in the core of the earth and of the teachings of water. A single drop of water is enough energy to power the entire planet if harnessed correctly, and it contains the information of the entire ocean. The wind can teach you how to breathe each breath as if for the very first time, inspiring higher guidance like never before. It is the breath that has activated the ultimate energy source within us that has led to the discoveries of everything that is unfolding. We connect to this chi, this prana in every breath. We breathe the joys of life and life breathes in us. We give now so much more than we receive. We have learned many things from the fire. We contaminated all the other elements, but the fire is the great purifier and is incorruptible. Fire, which was once believed to be the energy source of the future, A powerful energy it is, but it's just one of many. We have learned from the great Lumerians to use crystals as a far more powerful energy source that not only powers our technology, but empowers our souls within the temples of rejuvenation. We have learned to harness the power of radio frequencies led by the channeled messages of Maximilian and safe technologies. We have learned to wield a cold electricity, understanding now what Nikola Tesla was trying to teach us, and the hidden texts of Tesla that were stolen before his laboratory was burned have been revealed to us now. We understand now the encoded messages of the crop circles across the planet that have the teachings, the codes, the keys to free energy, and so much more. But we have learned to see the sacred geometry of these structures and forms within the body. First, aligning our sacred geometry with the sacred geometry of the cosmos, creating the union of body, mind, and spirit that the yogis have embodied for thousands of years. We wield the energy within us in union, the earth, the fire, the wind, the water, and we become so filled with light, such an abundant energy source within that eventually we don't need free energy technology, for we are the very embodiment of free energy. And that is the true meaning of divine sovereignty. Never again will we forget who we are. We are the angels who chose to fall into a womb of dreams so ancient that we called it home. In this womb of thinning veils, bright illusions, and whispering truths, we felt the growing pains of our wings' remembrance. Stiff and dry, yet we watered them like tender flowers, with the taste of the sweet smile of our sweat and the balm of our tears. We are the ancient awakeners who planted God's seeds on this earth since its creation. Our children grew into the bravest of souls who reincarnate first into realms most void of light, eager for the opportunity to learn to love most ferociously. And when we dared to live enough lives to find a kinship with death, we traded an ocean of tears like celestial currency to learn how to love each other all over again. With love and blessings from 2030.
Whoa, Vaughn. Whoa. I'm lost for words. I'm just loving here ferociously. Wow. Wow. I need to, there's so many rabbit holes, if they could be even called that, portals. Maybe. Thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Vaughn. And without further ado, straight to a dear brother, my first back now 25 years ago, the first investor I ever had, my first office I ever shared was with Ben Way, the creator of the Temples of Light, and a very early investor in the ubiquitous energy movement. Welcome, Ben.
Beautiful to be here, beautiful beings. Thank you for having me. And I will do my best to bring my rather crazy engineering brain to the problems of energy and the beauty of renewable energy as I see it from 2030, looking back on where I think we will be. So 2030, my belief, looking back, is that about 2022 was the inflection point where renewable energy became the dominant energy force on Earth. The cost of renewable energy has dropped precariously, and now it's growing in 2030 to a point where energy is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's not even an issue whether it's we're using fossil fuels, because it's so pointless to use anything like that for our energy needs. Looking back, it was really around 2026, 27 when nuclear fusion, really the nuclear fusion reactors that are being built in Europe and in Japan really started to come online and started generating more energy than was required in its use. So we suddenly became a civilization where we had more energy than we needed. This opened up a huge opportunity, both on an entrepreneurial and Renaissance level, because it freed us. Energy, having abundant energy freed us and freed humans in a way that we never imagined. By allowing everyone to have as much energy as the beautiful universe and the sun and our dimension allowed everyone to start focusing on the things that were important, like the repairing the damaged ecosystems and the huge damage we had done to planet Earth. And this combined with a technical evolution of robotics and artificial intelligence, which both had good and bad effects that we had to challenge through, eventually opened up humanity from being slaves of work and manual labor and of most importantly, choosing to add energy and value and beauty into this world rather than being forced to use one's human energy to change the world. And it always reminded me back in the day when we were using fossil fuels that the only reason our civilization exists today is because a single barrel of oil is equivalent to 8 humans working physical manual labor for a year. That's how much energy we were consuming. And we were using millions and millions and millions of these barrels, effectively borrowing from Mother Earth to sustain our civilization. It was only obviously a matter of time before we realized how absolutely crazy this scenario was. And we were using hydrocarbons to fill the oceans with crazy amounts of plastics. We were killing animals for the very simple pleasure of eating. And energy, again, freed us because with ubiquitous energy, looking back on it, it was so obvious that we could generate all the formulations and tools required to sustain our civilization and our bodies via the beautiful energy sources that we already had. And once we had more energy than we needed, lots of the existing power systems also collapsed. Energy being at the center of most of our financial markets back in the day. By 2030, all these very old system-led organizations started to collapse, including the very challenging political systems that we had built over generations of having to beg for our energy or pay for our energy, or people taking our energy from Mother Earth and making money from it. And so looking back on it, it was really around 2022, 23 that all these systems started to collapse. Though at the time it didn't seem obvious, we just saw certain weird things happen, like the price of oil dip into negative territory. All these weird little things were happening. People didn't really quite realize what was going on. And so, once we got to this point around 2027, the whole world just exploded in terms of innovation, in terms of repairing Mother Nature, in terms of providing us with all the energy we needed. And it was really this, looking back on it, the last final years towards 2030 where all energy needs changed. And we started to flip into a completely new way of being and surviving on this earth and starting to add value to this earth, as well as using energy to explore the greater universe that we have been given, because we have only just started in 2030 just to explore the outer edges of the universe that we exist in. And that is my rather engineering-led
Beautiful, Ben.
2030 for energy. Thank you.
Well, it was when the engineers realized that engineering is an art form, you know, when we merged engineering and arts, that we tapped into our true collective potential and left and right brain capacity. So thank you so much, Ben. Really deeply appreciate your example and beautiful wisdom along this last decade. And Boris, introducing you. Boris, such a pleasure to have you here. Welcome.
Wow, thank you, Lucian, for having me. Let me just give a short intro of who I am. I'm the founder of Enlightened Humanity. I'm the founder of Next High Tech and Solar Lifestyle. So I have prepared for you my visual part to share with you. So you can have a treat. In 2.5 minutes, I'm gonna take you to an amazing journey of technology, how I see it in the next 10 years, how it all happened. So I'm gonna share my screen. Hold a second, here we go. Share screen 3. I have 3 screens. And you should be able to see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay, this is my, oops, hold a second. I'm gonna put it in a full screen and then we can have it going. Here we go. This is my...
Dear Gaians, what an amazing journey we took from 2020 to 2030. In 1 decade, we were able to disrupt the energy production and went from dirty polluting energy to clean renewable energy. I started a movement and personally helped thousands of people go solar and adopt solar lifestyle, powered by the sun on all levels. Gaians started the day by sun gazing and charging by the sun consciously. They did paneurythmy, dynamic meditation in circles, and connected to living nature, the Mother Gaia and the sun. They transitioned to not killing animals for food, but drink concentrated sunlight in the form of raw juices. They started using distilled sunlight in the form of essential oils for healing, balancing, and uplifting instead of drugs. The Gaians started powering their homes and cars from pure sunlight. They built hyperloops that were powered by solar energy, and they could get anywhere at 3 times the speed of a conventional airplane. They all started using solar airplanes, solar yachts, solar watches. Gaians resurrected some amazing technologies that were extracting energy from the space around us, ubiquitous energy. One of those was the Zero Effect Generator, also known as SEG, and we could produce energy and gravitational fields that allowed us to build crafts that were able to get from UK to Australia in less than half an hour, with a vertical takeoff, 90-degree turns, and no inertia felt inside the craft. We removed all borders, and Gaians were able to travel freely and explore the beauty and the majesty of our planet. Many old combustion engine cars were converted to water-powered cars using the discoveries from Stanley Myers. They were not polluting the earth anymore. Many breakthrough discoveries in energy generation were adopted. The greener power machine by State Power were generating electrical power by converting high radio frequency energy directly into electricity. Gaians were using the unlimited energy from various clean energy devices to desalinate water from the oceans and have an abundance of clean drinking water. In some remote areas, Gaians were producing water from the sun and air using the technologies from zero mass water. Gaians were thriving and living in abundance. With love from 2030, genuinely yours, Boris.
Yeah. So let me stop my share.
Beautiful, Boris. Beautiful. Thank you for making this.
Yeah, I spent a long time yesterday to do it visually so you can really see all those technology exists, by the way, that you saw here that I presented. And I put on my website, Boris Mitov, letter from my 2030. You can just go to any of those, zero mass water. You can go to solar lifestyle, pan-eurythmy, all those things. They can research it, and they're real. You know, you can use it today. You don't need to go in the 2030. You can do it really right now. So basically, I really suggest that we support those technology and make it sooner than the 2030.
Yeah, well, we 2030 is as much as a date, it is a concept. So thank you, Boris. Thank you for sharing that. If you unshare your screen, perfect.
Here is
wonderful.
My back. All right.
Wonderful, Boris. Thank you. Thank you. And this is the perfect tee up to the wealthy commons. You know, there was in the 20s, there was really the tragedy of the commons. It got to really its peak state. It was peak capitalism, peak extraction, peak profit, and profit without with a pursuit in that in an end. And we realized that the errors of our way, and one of those people that guided us on that realization was my beloved blissness partner from Leaders on Purpose, Gyori. Chris, so happy to have you with us, and would love for you to share how we transformed organizations to deliver on the golden decade. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. And wow, it's just been so inspiring to hear from all around the world what's happening in 2030. And welcome to 2030. I'm just so excited to be here. And the theme Wealthy Commons is so right for where we are now. We've gone through a lot from 2020 and beyond. You know, we have really paved a new path. In 2020, 2021, things were looking, we weren't sure which way we were going to go, but I want to tell you we've made it. And from a business perspective, so my business partners, Tatiana, Lucian, the group, we've come together to help businesses to transition, to look at their business not only from what they can get, but what they can give. And it's been an amazing journey. We've seen, you know, factory as forest is now commonplace. You won't believe it, but factories are regenerative, so they give as much as they take from the earth, which is beautiful. We're seeing, you know, Tatiana and I were at a board meeting in a building that's a passive building that in Southeast Asia. We walked out of our hotel room and we took a deep breath in, and, you know, it didn't hurt. You know, the air was clean. We walked and we went up to the board meeting and we looked around and we remembered the last time we were, you know, in 10 years ago when we were the only women in the boardroom, and it's so diverse now, and the feeling of the meeting is so much different because it's more of a meeting of elders, and we're all in this together. That's how this has transitioned. You know, as Ben mentioned, you know, we're seeing technology has taken over many of the mundane tasks that we were doing back in the 20s and before. And so we've got time to really focus on, you know, what's important, to connect with each other, human to human, to really be there for our friends and family, and to be creative and to be curious and to solve. We've still got many things we can work on, but the good news is that we're on the right path, and we've struggled, but we're doing it, and we can be really proud of the work that we've done. And thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you. I just couldn't be more honored. Thank you.
Oh, Chris, it's such a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you
so much.
Thank you for being the blissness partner in our union. So such a delight to have you here with us. And speaking of elders, we have Terry Mollner in the house. So Terry, welcome. Terry has been has written more books than I know how someone can write, including Common Good Capitalism, Eldering, Common Good Nation. So Terry, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your wisdom.
Well, thank you, Lucian. I'm going back to Vaughn's mention of music, and I'm thinking how music was the first ritual, because what were we doing when we were singing together? We were all saying the same words in the same way at the same time with the same melody. We were self-consciously moving as one. I don't know how much we think about music in that way when we're listening to music these days, but that's what I understand music to be. The thing that I most want to say about 2030 is I want to speak to what I think determines everything else, and that is the way we think. We have been brought up in a world where we are operating on the assumption that the universe is an immense number of separate parts that are in a constant state of competition with one another. That's not true. And it's obvious that it's not true. Anyone can witness that that's not true in any moment, which I will guide you into doing right now. If the air was not around you at all times, would you be able to breathe? Obviously not. The air has to be around you at all times. If the Earth didn't have the atmosphere it has, if it had the atmosphere of Jupiter or Mars, would you be able to breathe? No. That's obvious. If the Earth wasn't in its particular relationship with the rest of the universe, so that it has the atmosphere it has, rather than Jupiter or Mars, would you be able to breathe? No. So is it not obvious that all those things have to always be doing what they're always doing, and always in full cooperation with one another for each of us to be breathing? It's obviously yes. So who is doing our breathing? It's the indivisible universe that's been doing our breathing ever since we came out of the womb. We did not sit up when we came out of the womb and say, I think I'll choose to breathe now. We have been naturally and effortlessly breathing and are breathing right now, and none of us are initiating any effort to be breathing. The universe is doing our breathing. If the universe is an indivisible whole, then cooperation among all the parts is the fundamental process in nature. That's the obvious deduction from the fact the universe is an indivisible whole. So what is competition? Well, if cooperation is the fundamental process in nature, then competition must be a form of cooperation because we can't escape cooperation. Oh, well, if that's the case, take a look at competition. If there's an apple on the table and neither you or I want the apple, well, later on, either one of us could take the apple and we'd both be as happy afterwards as we were before. But if we both want the apple, we could choose to compete to get the apple. Without the cooperative agreement that the apple is important to both of us, competition could not occur. Competition only can exist within a cooperative context because the universe is an indivisible whole. So cooperation is the lowest form of cooperation, and compromise is the next more mature human form of cooperation, and agreement's the next more mature form, and love, all of us self-consciously moving within the fact, the most fundamental fact in physics, that the universe is an indivisible whole. That is not a spiritual thing. That is a fundamental fact in physics. The universe operates as an indivisible whole. What's exciting is the crazy fundamental scientists, physicists, have gotten so close to this. The latest popular theory is holographic theory. Holographic theory is the assumption that time and space is not real. Now, the only other possibility is the universe operates as an indivisible whole. Oh, but they can't say that. Oh, no, they can't say that. That would be going back to letting the church control the world or somebody else. No. We are now the church called science. Now you must listen to us, and we have to keep it that way. So we're not going to agree that the universe is an indivisible whole. The people who think we're spiritual or tree huggers or Buddhists or some kind of thing. But they are on the cusp of being able to admit the obvious. As more of us study our breathing and publicly declare that we have matured from individual free choice into mature free choice. And what is mature free choice? That's when I keep my power and I choose to use it to study my direct present experience of my breathing. And I realize, oh my God, it's obvious. The fundamental fact in physics is the universe operates as an indivisible whole. I don't care what you think, scientists. It's like rocks are hard, fire is hot, and the universe operates as an indivisible whole. It's obvious. I know it because I've kept my power instead of giving it to a belief in words. We've all been giving our power to a belief in words. Doesn't make any difference what the content of the belief is. There's 6,000 languages on earth. Each of them is a mutually agreed upon set of illusion tools called words. They don't exist. We made them up. And we act as if they're real. They're not. What's real is the experience of oneness. Excuse me. By 2030, we'll have realized it's not the experience of oneness that's a fundamental experience. It's the sensation of oneness. The sensation right now of experiencing myself as being a part of the room I'm in and not as a separate part. Most of us are living in words. We're living in the illusion of right now English language. There's 6,000 languages on earth. Each of them is a mutually agreed upon set of illusions. Sensations are real. Sensations are real. And the sensation, the two fundamental sensations, and there's only two of them, that is the sensation of being a separate part, which we all get into believing is real, when we learn a language at the age of 2, 3, 4 years old. And when we use that skill and turn it around into being as valuable as oneness, because it allows us to be self-conscious. I like that part. That's called human. I like that human part. So I don't want to give up self-consciousness. So I like my words, but I'm going to give second priority to my words and first priority to the sensation of oneness. That I can directly in any present experience know. And so as I talk to you right now, I want to click into realizing, how do I know for sure I'm in the sensation of oneness? Well, I'm going to end this by letting you know how you can double check that you're in the sensation of oneness. Self-consciousness is made up of 3 parts. The assumption of separate parts, that's a mutually agreed upon illusion. We now know that's not true. The creation of words. We now know those are a bunch of illusions. And oneness, which we know is a fact. So if I look at all of you right now and I experience you as a 3-dimensional experience, kind of what we do when we see 3-dimensional movies, but if we just become aware, I'm living in a 3-dimensional place, that's the sensation of oneness. Ta-da! It's that easy. It's that easy. And by 2030, most of the people on the planet will have kept their power and become mature free choice people instead of individual free choice people choosing among a bunch of words. And they will know, using mature free choice, that the universe operates as an indivisible whole, and they'll learn how to give priority to the sensation of oneness, not the belief in it. And second priority to anything else. Acha.
There is a transmission. Oh, Terry, thank you. You know what my father wrote to me once in a letter that I opened on the day after my mother died, and my father wrote, "Words and the unwitting culprit," and that keeps us separate. For words to have meaning, we must separate ourselves, and that's why we now call ourselves Gaians. We call our planet Gaia. We are Gaians, and we speak Gaian. So we live, are, and communicate the same way as one word. So thank you so much, Terry. Thank you. And what a pleasure. I don't even know how to begin to express the pleasure to introduce my beloved, my soul love, to this vision train, which is just such a delight. I couldn't do this without you, and I'm just so grateful in every cell of my being for our time together, and for lifetimes ahead. And so with that said, this I'm the luckiest man in the world, Tatiana.
Oh.
Oh, we can't hear.
Yep. Here you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, this is perfect. Well, I'm the lucky one. It has been such a blissful and grateful journey. I think I'll stay on this video and I'll read from here.
Oh,
no?
Turn your...
Okay. Is that okay?
Try now.
We can see her and we can hear her.
Okay.
Go here.
Okay. So, well, I'm the one who is the lucky one. This is how I started here in 2030. And it has been such a joyful and delightful ride. So let me read the letter from today. Dear Guides, we are here, I'm here. Wherever we lay upon our sight, heart, and mind, these go together, we are immersing into creation for a thriving civilization on Earth. Today we thrive in Economies. Dalmatians are creating planetary value through 4 Ps, literally 4 Ps. Pure, perpetual, pro-purposing. We went from market fit to planet fit, Earth fit as we create along the Earth system's value journey. In contrast to old days customer value journeys, this is where long we go. We have a sensual, immersive understanding based on Gaian-centered, sapient AI about the layers of our reality. The flow of cause effects and systems loops, the flow of information records about each service, product that we rely our senses upon. We do not consume, we prosume. We add value and support by every step, reinforcement of the pro-purpose flow of everything we touch, lay our sight or sense on. That way, we manage to re-enter the Earth-based system of life force, which we meet not by simplification, but by heart-through-centered mapped complexity in our Earth-fit models, operating systems, and assumptions. We re-established universal science, wisdom, and sight of one another. We live in pro-quality of all life on Earth. Inequality was a monstrum in the past and one of our biggest accomplishments, getting here where we are. We persistently focused on it is all of us or none of us. Through this leap, we opened up the layers of our reality to the pixels of our reality, and we started to uncover and remembering the masterpieces of the flow of life that helped us to understand how to reconnect and re-enter, how to perpetually keep our value creation in flow to bring Earth and society back on track, and most importantly, how to intentionally manifest the stage of the thriving golden age. In 2022, leaders infused by this collective intelligence stepped up for the adoption beyond mitigation transition team to co-lead and to co-build through a united planetary transition strategy, where we aligned and coordinated matter, guided by our remembrance of what a thriving future looks like, guided by the masterpiece of the flow of life, by our heart trusting in the collective resources and genius, artistry of our collective intelligence, sharing one planetary identity, This was in one of these boardrooms, Chris. I will never forget that part. Based on our unconditioned understanding of in-depth systemic value creation, we started to not only biomimic, but Gaia-mimic the value creation of organizations with the earth life forces of flow. We saw the tremendous innovations for society and planet that corporations started to embrace into, non-incremental, from fragmented to circular to perpetual, pro-purposeful, supporting to over-deliver on their commitments in collaboration. In 2024, corporations really started rapidly to transition and really dive into this process. They upgraded to Dalmatians as employees and young talent found their inner purpose and aligned themselves with the collective purpose of these corporations, mirroring the collective purpose that we all envisioned to go to. As above, so below, it was universal mathematics, symmetry, and beauty at play. All pillars of our society came in forwarded trust together to offer their wisdom, science, their puzzle pieces, so that we could assemble together an economy in service of a thriving civilization for all life. 2024 was a tipping point from economy to Gaionomy today. All employees, consumers, students started to consciously and intentionally reflect on their daily decision-making choice, stepping into their proactivity, and understood that the system for all of us would take all of us. Today, we are remembering the moment before it happened, when we were the butterfly effect to our own prophecy. The rest is history of our future. With love from 2030, and with so much love from my love.
Oh, wow.
It has been a wild ride.
It has been a wild ride, yeah. And yeah, I'm gonna reserve comment on describing our lives in 2030, because that might be a step too far. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's just such, yeah. I'm just I'm such in continuous awe of the brilliance of Tatiana here. So thank you. Well, up next we have Andrea. Andrea, welcome, Andrea Pitt.
Let me know if my Wi-Fi is not working.
You're good.
A piece of Wi-Fi. Perfect. So I wanted to share. So for 2030, I saw everyone waving and I was a bit confused. These poems I wrote in response to the fires in Australia last year. And I guess you wrote, but it really was reflective of this pain in nature that we're causing around the world, and seeing that everything is interlinked, I think, as a lot of people have said. So I'm going to start just by reading those poems and then reading the letter. So to Mother Nature, no matter my worries.
Andrea, if you just for time wise, we're a little behind. So maybe if you could do just whatever would be in like 3 minutes would be awesome.
It's 3 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you.
So Mother Nature, it's time. Goddess like the water grows, falling soft from broken heart, fairy as a river flows, opened up by fitful art. Like a raven to the sea, lightning pushed amongst the wind, she takes refuge in the rain, unrestrains her prophecy. When she sees she's had enough of the everlasting change, when the concrete's gone too far, she'll take strides to end our pain. Fires crowning through the trees, burning fast to fringe of seas, blackened earth behind the trail, empty futures to unveil. For the life upon this earth, which us humans think we own, time has come to change the track. Now Mother Nature's fighting back. But a message of hope. Together. Dew turns to dust, raindrops curdle in air, leaden leaves turn to rust, poets whisper, beware. From whence it has come, this old land ran amok, needling haystacks from windows, hands tick round the clock. So come with us now, be here, won't you dare, to gather like snowflakes, together to care. For the forests once green, we shall grow them again. For the oceans once blue, we shall fill them anew. So to my 2020 self, the Great Reset made us appreciate what's actually important. Family and nature. It made you move to the countryside where you could really appreciate living in nature. And I'm proud of you for being conscious of your impact through your consumption every day, for buying less and reusing anything you can, and buying secondhand wherever you can. To shop where you don't need to use plastic, to buy only local produce, flying less, because that's a huge impact on the environment, and choosing products which don't create waste, and not drinking bottled water that is transported by so much plastic. I'm proud of you for finding solutions in your own life and for helping and encouraging those around you. Because how could we talk about sustainability, the circular economy, climate change, if we don't live this truth every day in our own homes? How could we ever achieve change on a great scale, affect change for millions or billions, if we can't even affect that change for one, for ourselves? So I'm proud of you for constantly striving for yourself, but most importantly, for all of humanity. We couldn't rely on governments to make change. We, as consumers, as masses of consumers, forced the companies and governments to make that change. We supported the brands and companies which strive towards sustainability. We started with ourselves, transforming ourselves to transform the world. Welcome to 2030. It's truly a beautiful time, and I'm excited that you're finally here. Welcome.
Oh, Andrea, thank you. So beautiful. Such a poetic way to bring us home, and to close our amazing fire team. We have Noah Crowe in the house, one of the original League of Extraordinary Storytellers. And Noah, it's such a pleasure to have you here. And thank you for your wisdom along this last decade, and just bringing it into the spoken word in such an art form. Welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Nice. It's been a really fun decade. And I'm really grateful that we've all made it through this decade, like a great womb-like portal. And sitting with your invitation, Lucian, I realized that I wrote a love letter to the beloved. Dear Mother Earth, Mama Gaia, thank you for receiving us. Any other lover would have turned away. Even our own cats still give us the cold shoulder after a few days away. But you didn't turn away. When we, your children, finally returned, we shared the sweats of our brows and our forearms into the furrows of land long lost to private causes. Covered by roads separated from the whole by that long lost paradoxical myth of capitalism. You welcomed our planted seeds and welcomed our tears as we sat, finally, once again, tender humans, timidly sitting in circles among what once were strangers, on land once locked away, reclaimed by our common hands. You did not resist or reject or turn away from our tears that finally fell when, sitting in a circle among all these others we had been taught to fear and doubt and withhold our natural love from, when we saw all those othernesses that had been built between us fall away, when we saw the human hurt and human hearts behind those othered eyes, and our hands that used to take began to make, to grow, to give, and you, so long hurt, so long taken from, so long held down, did not withhold. You took our sweat, you took our tears, you took our seeds, you let them grow. When we needed rest, you let us rest. We finally found this problem we had allowed could not be figured out with all the functions and assumptions we had been taught. You let us rest, sit with our feet on your earth, in your seas, in your soil. You let us breathe, and you let us see the million casual wonders of your everyday world. You let us finally see as we saw and heard stories of this land and that farm and that community finding their new ways of being and believing and feeding each other. You let us let go of what we thought we needed. Like children, we fell back to your fertile bosom to trust in the natural laws that have borne evolution for 1,000 million years. We remembered, and you listened. Thank you, Earth. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Gaia. Thank you, Lover. You rose your lips, your heart, your bliss to meet us with every step forward, with every step inward, with every kneeling moment of prayer. Thank you. You received us.
Beautiful, Noah. Thank you, brother. We're received collectively. Thank you. Oh, what a beautiful close of the fire team, Noah. Thank you. Noah, share some closing words on the role of storytellers in this last decade.
The role of storytellers. And every single one of us realized this. The great gift of all of social media was that suddenly we retook our power back from these mediums where we had been being told stories about the way the world was, the way the world worked, and the limits of humanity. For 1,000 years, we've been being told stories of limitation, and finally the storytellers reclaimed and invited, as you have been inviting people, everyone, every single human, every single regular human, to tell their own story. And we started telling the stories not of limitation or lack, but a possibility. And we started to rewrite the words that we even use to contain what we thought was impossible. And through these new stories that people have been telling for the last decade, we couldn't even hold on to all the ideas, the limitations, the otherings that we had been entranced into for generations. The stories of race, the stories of gender, the stories of not enough. They couldn't even handle the stories of possibility that we were all telling. And people couldn't even keep going to work in that old way that they had been working to survive, because we were telling the new story. And the new story was everyone absolutely 100% committed to each other, that no matter what, your family has what they need. And the minute that the workers of the world told that story to each other, made that bond with each other, said, this is the new story, no matter what, your family has what you need, everyone walked away from wasn't working. We simply walked away. Everything unessential just stopped. And in that second great pause, the first pause of 2019 was a pause that wasn't a choice. So we couldn't claim the full power from it. But the second pause was the pause of choice. You know, as Terry said, make a choice, a mature choice. We made that choice, and in that choice, we opened ourselves up to telling the new stories within our communities. And those are the stories that reframed every single word we've ever spoken from there on out.
So beautiful. I'm so glad I asked you that question, because, you know, this was the decade that the storytellers escaped the asylum and they couldn't put us back in. It's you know, the fact that we get to live the greatest story ever told. It's a never ending honor to live the infinite game and to live one's life as the greatest story ever lived. So thank you, Noah, for being that just such pure light archetype of that of the storyteller. So much blessings to you, and thank you everybody on the fire team. We've had some profound wisdom shared. and just what a series of reflections on and childlike faith in what it took to deliver on this golden decade. And with that said, it's such a delight to